Hey guys, this will be replayed on the stream, so I'm just gonna talk. This part, I guess, will be like a pre-recorded, even though this is a live stream. But I'm starting the live stream. There's no one in the room yet, but I'm waiting on a client to do a reading. Usually, I start on TikTok to do my streams, and then if people want an order fulfilled, I meet them on here because of the extreme censorship over there. But because I load these on my YouTube channel for later viewing, I figured I'd explain this quiet moment now. I did have to restart the live before. All right, let's see. Hey guys, I'm waiting on a client. I'm about to do a tarot reading for them. Usually I stream here for a while, and eventually I'm going to be doing free yes and no. But right now I'm waiting for Callie. She's booked a reading with me. I usually start my streams on TikTok, and then if a person wants an order fulfilled, I do it on here because of the extreme censorship over there. You really can't say much. You can't even mention another platform on there. So, but this time I don't wanna make her wait through the traffic when I sign on. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm waiting on her. So nice to meet all of you. So I am having a little bit of a connection issue. So okay, there we go. Hey guys, how are you? I'm waiting on a client that booked a reading. So this isn't my regular stream. I usually do give me 1 second, guys. I have to text a client. how are you? Finally. Sorry for the whole whatever happened. All right, sweetheart. So I'm sorry to hear that you have anxiety. Let's look to get this done. Oh, okay. All right. All right, I'm going to start off with an energy check. It's crystal dice. So crystal cast means that it's a form of lithomancy, but reading dice is a different form of divination. It's astrolomancy, in case you're interested. So I'm going to be doing a cast on the relationship energy just to break the ice. All right, so let me get that done first. The person that I noticed you filled out something. I didn't read it, but it was probably my astrology form, right? That's only when you book astrology. Yeah, that's for we're doing tarot. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to read it because I usually those are attached to astrology readings. But this reading in particular that we're going to be doing is for you and your person, correct? What the name of the reading? It's Rekindle, right? Is that the one we're doing? Is Rekindle? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I'm glad I put the phone number. Okay. So the Rekindle is you and who? So their sign, if you don't want to give the name. That's all I need to know. Just like a nickname or their sign or whatever, like whatever, Ray Taurus, I don't know, Okay. Hayde for Gemini. Okay. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, Ian. Oh, you don't have to give the full name. But okay, thank you. All right, so Ian Gemini. All right, no problem. Whoa. Okay. All right, so the first thing I'm going to start off with is that, so I asked that if you want to tell me certain things, wait till we see what organically pops up in the read. All right, so there's going to be a session late, after the reading where you can let me know or fill me in or whatever, or I'll cue you. I just want to know what naturally comes up. That's all. Without knowing a backstory. So I'll be telling you some things, and if you feel comfortable, you reply, okay? So the first thing that I see immediately is that someone lost their job in this relationship. So maybe it was that someone quit a job because of an argument. Maybe it was because something job bad, something bad happened. So are you aware of what that is? So it can be when two people argue and they start doing bad job performance, or maybe someone's up for a promotion and because of the stress they don't get it, or someone leaves and takes a job somewhere else. Okay, no job lost. I'm curious. Okay, so it could be that that's what's going on with him right now. Okay, because this is not, this is really relevant to the whole picture. And if you haven't been with him for a little bit, I don't know the story, we're about to find out. But if you haven't been close to him for a little bit, this could be what's going on. Are you aware that he has? Well, the only way that it could be that is if you're in jeopardy of losing the job. Because you got to realize it came in as a strong statement, so it can be either a warning or it can be the root cause. If it wasn't the root cause, to really put the cherry on the sundae to sever a connection. So if a couple is having a hard time and it really jeopardizes that person's job, I would say that would be the root of it. But okay, so that's the first thing. So I realize that that's a curveball. I realize that that's not really love information, but because, okay, we'll see, because something so strong would surface again, and then we'll get more pieces of it. But just in case, if you're writing notes or whatever, you want to write down, number one, this could be something happening to him as in the current time, or it can be something about to happen to you. And because the spirit world understands that jobs feed us, jobs, very important to have a job, a source of revenue and all of that, they're warning you. They're making it known. If it were a past root cause, you would have known immediately. All right, so we're going to attribute it to the warning. That being said, let me move on to the next section. The problem that I see here, okay, is that because this is a love reading and it's a rekindle reading, I see someone very balanced with him right now. So this could be that there's a slow brewing crush. This can be that they've been wanting to start something. Maybe it's something that he's started. So in other words, another woman is showing up in this reading already. Now, it doesn't seem like it's flourished and has a big history to it. So I'm trying to explain the different things that this connection can mean. It can be a slow crush that's growing. It can be something that was a fling one night and then it's slowly growing into something they didn't expect, but it hasn't gotten there yet. It's very, very early. It can be a crush. They like each other, but they haven't done anything about it. It could be that he's in a vulnerable spot and she's honing in on him, not caring that he has a delicate past with someone, and she's just kind of moving in because she likes him and he might find the attention, he might like it. I don't know the story yet. I'm just giving you an idea that it's surfacing, and it's important to make note of that. Now, a couple of other things. The female that is surfacing in this preliminary stage here, meaning that their connection is very early kind of thing, but it's quite reciprocated. So that's something to be aware of. We're going to still look into his feelings and get all the things we need. So don't think I'm not going to get into detail, okay? But I got to, do this first. So the detail about her is there's something very heavy about her past. Maybe a divorce, maybe there was some kind of, domestic, I don't know if you can say the word on here, V word. I don't know. Maybe it's like major baby daddy drama. It's maybe some kind of trauma. I don't know. But there's something heavy to her past. And the reason that that's significant to mention is because she's very clingy. So that people like that, can complicate things. They're very sappy, clingy, and we'll find out about her if we need to, okay? Or if it comes up organically again. All right, let's get back into you and him. So I see that there's possibility that at the time being, you could be more in love with him than him with you. Not saying that he's not. I don't know yet. But I see that the deep desire connection, is more very strong and very sure on your end, where on his end it's very swaying, Another thing is that the way he looks at you, the way he looks, not you in particular, but just the way he feels with you about the relationship, he's tired of something and he wants to unplug from it, kind of like when something sours really badly. Okay, so obviously rekindle means there's a breakup, but then again, I don't know the story because some people are broken up for a couple of weeks only. Like I said, I don't know. I'm going to find out very soon. Okay, all right. You said, I know you said not a long history, but could that refer to them just not having anything for a few years? I don't know what you mean. But we'll talk about whatever it is that you're at, because I can interpret that question in several ways. It could mean that, there's different, I don't know. So it could mean that two people like each other and didn't do anything. It can be that they had a crush on each other but never acted on it. Like there's a lot of different ways. I don't know what you're asking, but we will get into it during the, when we, close the reading and, Okay, so let me go into the past a little bit. All right, so this is going to be, you said it was Ian, right? Ian the Gemini. All right. Oh, if the connection goes, just text me and let me know. Whether on the chat, I may not notice it if a lot of people start popping in with troll comments and stuff. But you can text me and then I'll disconnect and reconnect, because that's something I didn't do before. I didn't think it would work, but I looked it up. And when a stream starts freezing, I can sign in again, and I didn't know that I could. I thought that I had to finish the recording process that it lets me know on the right corner. I didn't know. Okay, so let me see something. My hands, the cards stick. There's a heavy disruption energy with him. Majorly. I'll figure out what that is. Um, okay. I'm getting pieces of a story. I'm switching gears a minute. I'll explain in a minute. This if you know how I read, I don't just, sometimes I'll just be, reading and I'll just read aloud and go on. But I don't open my mouth until it completely makes sense, because then all I'm going to do is confuse you. So let me just bear with me, okay? Okay, we're gonna do it with runes a minute here. Let me start with a cast. So let me explain a little bit of what was going on. So I started the read the way I normally do, and I started getting bits and pieces of a story in a direction that I felt was going to take us into a lot of past stuff. For example, it talked about one person dealing with maybe some depression. It talked about, when a person falls in love brand new, like the first time, and, the other person, like one person is in one place and then the other person's kind of delayed in that reaction. It talks about like when how can I describe it? Like when a person is selling something that's used, like maybe a car or eBay stuff or auctions or even secondhand stuff. It got into this whole story. It was either going to tell a specific story about something in the past, or maybe right before you met, and there's a reason why it places that in the timeline. I didn't want to spend too much time on the past. I want to focus on what can happen to rekindle and all of that. So that I tend to piece together a lot of past stuff, and I don't want to waste the time on that. We're not doing that type of deep intense stuff. We're doing addressing your needs to see if he's going to come back and what went wrong. So that's why I was, moving on. Oh, okay. Yeah. But as you can see, it's important, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. Yeah, if that makes sense, because I'd rather focus more on what you need. All right, here we go. All right, so this might be a little strange to you. I don't know if you. Oh yeah, right. Well, because I didn't explain everything coming up. It was bits and pieces. I was just trying to let you know what was going on in here. But don't worry about it. I recognized that it was old stories that were, and it was. I said, no, it's not that kind of love reading. We're gonna move on because it's a rekindle, and All right. If you guys were together right now and you were in a rough patch, then I'd say, okay, you know what? Let's go back to the past, deeply dissect it, and let me see what collected and what made him this way and all of that. But that's not, you see, my attention is shifted somewhere else to solve the issue. Or, give, not solve the issue, but like give clarity. Anyway, this might be very new to you. I'm a runist, and a lot of people don't like the runes. But this might, especially Virgos, they don't understand it a lot of times, but you might do very well with it. I'm going to read you the cast, and it's going to mention stuff, and it is what it is. All right, this is another direction we're going to take, and then I will fine tune it, okay, with tarot. All right, sometimes this is important to do when, it's spirit driven, so it's okay. What I mean is, I don't just invent what I want to do. I'm guided by my spirit guides and ancestors. So, this is something that is the next step forward for what we're doing. All right. So this talks about when a person is starting to study something or learn about something, and bam, the lights go out. If you're interested in studying something in school, if you're interested, or if either of you were interested in really applying yourself at your job, if you were learning something to improve, like getting a certificate or doing a workshop or something where learning, reading, understanding is something that is rigorous in what you're doing, and the person stops. This stopping is what has begun this reading. All right, it's telling a story. It's when a person either, for whatever negative reason, cannot do that. It also talks about when a person can no longer communicate properly. Not because of anything anatomical or anything wrong with their mouth or language or brain, but emotionally. When they find themselves where communication used to be clear and it can't anymore. This talks about that as well at the beginning of this story. This also talks about after that, one of you, because in this you're both interwoven, so it can be either one. One of you starts to lean more towards family or someone else. So this is talking about the beginning of separation, emotional. Notice how a person has interest. When people are happy in relationships and family, they want to apply themselves to school or work or their hobbies or whatever because they're in a good mood. They're getting good sleep. They're happy. When a person is not, the information won't filter. It won't sink in. They can't. And it shortens their attention span without having ADD or anything like that, And then one of the first things that happens when a couple starts to sever is they're not able to communicate properly. It also talks about mistrust and going more towards someone else instead of each other. Now, in all of this talks about when a person leaves all of a sudden. This is an event, all right? This is an event around also the time that this is happening. The event talks about where a woman has to kind of defend herself. So this is either could even be in a physical sense or maybe in a vocal sense. Strong words. This talks about arguments, disagreements, very big misunderstandings. And it talks about someone leaving suddenly after an argument or maybe during the argument. Perhaps maybe driving away or something. So this lets me know that it was an argument that went down and it's being mentioned here. The next thing this talks about is so some time goes by, and another important thing that's mentioned here is when being close to someone and a person is shut out. not ghosting, but like when a person just goes blocked or just not available. It can be family members, it can be friends. It's when they're cast out, shunned away from, we don't want to talk to you. This kind of closure, this wall up, it shows here. This also talks about getting misled through spirituality. So this talks about either one of you maybe getting readings or maybe going to, if you're religious, it would be a mentor, spiritual experience. I don't know. It could be anywhere from a church to crystals. It's talking about spiritual path. And it's talking about someone trying to gain answers and not being led in the right way. So maybe it was a reading that said something different. I don't know. It's being led astray. It also talks about your beliefs as well. Confusion. And then a battle that this sounds like it's you, but I don't know. It could be him as well. It's not going to be both of you. It's going to be you or him. It seems like a lot of this is more you. It's the female's perspective, because I'm seeing that, there was the way you felt, the self, defending and all of that. This also talks about when when your own intuition and your own ancestors, your own spirit guides lead you in a different direction, which I think is where you are right now. So this means that you've been battling some stuff and turning to spirituality for a while, in different ways. So this is a journey. What I can gather from this rune cast, as a whole, is the way that you have felt, the way that you were on the reacting side to what was presented. So in other words, cause effect. In other words, I don't see here where you are mainly to blame. I feel that maybe you let things escalate, but you weren't the cause. And I again, every time I've looked into this so far, I feel him very distant, very checked out so far. All right, so that being said, let's go into some tarot, and that's gonna neutralize the energy of the read, because it was very far out there because of the distance. It also lets me know that trying to read on an energy of two people like this as a couple, and they're very, away, the energy's distant, you see. You said, but I don't, I'm very open. Oh, okay. Very open-minded. I forgot what that was in context to, but okay, so here we go. Let's see. Okay, so the reading, this part, the card part, opens up very sadly. I'm very sorry for the sad news. It's rough. The reading starts off explaining that you feel that he basically took your happiness. That's maybe those are my words. maybe you would have said it in different words, but I would say that this lets me know that you feel that, you know, he really left a hole in your heart. You know what I mean? That's how the reading starts. I don't know if the way I'm saying it portrays, maybe the way I express it is a bit, but if that makes sense. So that means that you're very hurt. Very, very hurt. All right, let's move on. Okay, so infidelity shows up. Okay, that's the next part of this reading, and for that, I apologize, you know, for the roughness. I don't know how to say it gently, you know, but some people say like third party. I like to use the word infidelity because third party paints a picture that a person, you know, already has like this long thing, but you know, this long complicated situation. But infidelity can start with such sneaky ways, from secret notes to conversations to, you know, all of those things. Yeah, infidelity is not, like you say third party, and you know what comes to most North Americans' minds are the stereotypical Hollywood scene where, you know, it's a man with woman in a hotel. But I like, you know, the reason I say infidelity is because it can have so many different ways it plays out, like looking at inappropriate content, carrying on this just online thing with someone where it's not physical but it's emotional and mental. It can be in the mind of the person. Oh my gosh. And the story can go on. There's so many layers of complexity, all right? But it does show up, and it talks about a couple that were broken, okay? Right. Because there can be love affairs that start with them even never touching skin, never, ever, ever holding hands. It could be the bonding, the sharing, the excitement, the videos, and everything that the human body with all the senses except for touch, you know, can experience. And it's very real. And that's one form. You know, I don't know what form it is because it's but here's the important part about this that's coming up in this reading. It talks about when a couple is broken. But what I mean by that is the female wants to love the man. The female loves the man. The man still loves the woman. But the man can't help what made him want, and he can't erase what was done. And because it seems like two people that want to go back in a time machine, but they can't, so then one of them gives up trying almost. I don't know the full story yet, but it's almost like this give up attitude. You know, like if that was done, then what else can I do? There's nothing else, you know, like this, like sit and give up kind of thing. And also just not in control enough of keeping himself in check. So I very weird feeling with him so far. 1 foot in, 1 foot out, at least for a while. And also, you know, the emptiness that might have caused this to begin with, and how to address that as well, you know. Okay, so let's go on. All right, so this has actually caused psychological trauma. So disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist. I don't pretend to be, and I don't address anything with mental health because that's not my arena. I'm only a professional psychic, so I address the spiritual. However, I have to say those things, you know. But I do want to say that from a spiritual perspective, it's my opinion that this caused a great deal of trauma, because this starts with duplicity. This starts with being stabbed in the back, betrayed. When trust is broken, it breaks a person with the bond that they have with that other person. And it takes years to earn back, and a lot of healing. And sometimes the person's not able to heal like that unless they have help. And that's why I'm saying this is very rough. Because it's like when a person visually sees what the other female looked like, or there's any visual trigger. The word trigger warning is very apropos here, because it's deeply connected to, it's like if the person wouldn't have seen it or heard it, heard about it but not seen it, it wouldn't have been as bad. So in other words, you were exposed to something that just changed everything. Of course, the whole experience and knowledge and talking about everything else, but there was extra exposure, and it really changed you, whatever this was, whatever this situation was. And it talks about betrayal. This also talks about a person abandoning the situation completely. But also then going where? Going where? Going to lost land? This is very, very tricky stuff. All right. Let's talk about all right. One of the biggest problems here is the way that the painful situation was dealt with. Not talking about it, shutting a person out, closing the door, the way that it was handled. So it seems like this really traumatic experience happened, but it wasn't just one night. This was like a phase. This has a lot of variables that plug into this experience between you two. And there was a lot of messy things, but there was one rooted bad yuck that was in the middle, like one ick, one terrible, horrible one thing. And whatever this experience was with the betrayal, so, the way that it was handled caused the relationship to also escalate on its way down. It already was, but it caused it because he didn't like being on the receiving end of what you were delivering. He didn't like the way that he was treated throughout the experience. He feels like it was kind of like, not only did he do something, but at the same time, he's picky enough to not like how you were dealing with it. Wow, that's selfish. So this is rough because, it explains, because see, it does no good for me to sit here. Number one, I'm no one to judge. I'm just reading, that's it. But my job is to feel his feelings. My job is to read his mind. You know what yours is. You know what your feelings are. You don't need to get a reading for that. So I focus on him. So the things that I'm going to say might sound like I'm defending him, but I'm not. So hear me out. Why is she being so difficult? Why is she closing the door? Why did she decide to KILL our relationship? Why did she decide to do it like this, the way she's taking it? It's the blame game, And this is what it feels like to me. you know, you had to be dramatic. You had to be so, you know, it's pointing the finger the way that it's felt. Okay, yeah, I'll accept this and that, but you. So this is difficult. And it talks about the way that it was handled. So if you would have handled it the way that he would have wanted, you wouldn't be in the boat you're in. But that's nuts, because what are you going to do? Have you know, do it his style? No, that's not fair to you. So it's, yeah. You see what I'm saying? Okay, I hope I didn't sound too cryptic. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is what it talks about again with work. So very odd that it's mentioned again. So I'm going to go over it in a different way. Could he blame you? I'm thinking out loud. Could he blame you for losing a chance at some success that he was going to have when you were together? Because your decisions and your reactions and whatever it was made him, or I should say catching him, right? And you know, red-handed. And the way that you dealt with it head on and strong, you know, it's kind of like he missed an opportunity because of the way you dealt with it. So this is why it came up in the beginning, because when I did a energy check, so this means that he blames you. Now we have clarity on what that was with the dice a little bit more. I knew it was something with, you know, with him, but now we see what it is. So this is that he blames you on top of everything else. What led him to, you know, seek thrill somewhere else, and what led him to drastically have to make changes and you know, have a disruption in the flow of his life because of the way things started to become. It's like he's blaming you, like, you did this and now I had to do this and I'm tired. So that's very selfish, very selfish. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're going to dive deeper into him. So there could be something where, you know, he might have started to be in love with a person online, you know, and I'm using the word in love. It could be infatuation or something like that, where it was in an abstract plane. Maybe she didn't know about it, you know. It's very, very strange, whatever it was, but, you know, it had to do with... it would fit under the infidelity umbrella. There is another woman, but it's not your stereotypical cheat story, you know. So that's why I'm saying it's a little odd. But I do hold back on getting into details with people because I feel that I want to do a reading, but I don't want to be nosy. You know, I don't like that. So I'm here to find out if he's going to. You know, is he's in love with you, and if he's going to come back or whatever the scenario is. To rekindle is my focus. Anything outside the rekindle to me is extra tea, and I just feel that it's nosy at that point, and it's not worth it. I just want to find out what his intentions are, okay? All right. Okay. So I have this is what I call the cherry on the sundae part of the reading. Reading's not over. We have more to go. But I have the answer of answers. So in other words, the client usually comes to me with a one burning question they want an answer to. And somewhere in the reading and all the things I do, I find that answer. We've hit that moment. That doesn't mean the reading's over. There's going to be more to tell you. But if you don't want to hear it at that point, that's fine. But there's more to tell you, okay? But let me give you that answer. He is still in love with you, 100%. Without a doubt, this Gemini is still in love with you. Does he want to continue with you? Is there a chance he wants to come back, rekindle? Yes, 100% yes. He wants to be with you. Now, from that being pushed into a reality, there's got to be probably some conversations and some things that have to unfold, but we're talking about inside here. Okay? Not the technical details of how that's going to happen. Will you last and succeed? No, you will not. Why do I say that? Well, number one, a lot of things in life are possible. Free will is, it's up to you. There's a lot of things that are open to, a person's desire and hard work. And there's a lot of things that the human mind, a human will can do. I understand all of that. I get that a lot is in human hands. I get that. Some things are etched in stone. Some things are open for life to be lived, right? It has options. But the reason that I'm saying no, you will not, and I feel strongly about that, is because this talks about trauma that cannot be forgotten. So you would be looking in his eyes and walking in a restaurant and going on a vacation or whatever you would do, and it just haunts you and haunts you, and it just eats at you. And you're never going to feel that free, beautiful, organic start that you did once. So the only way to heal from that is, my understanding would be therapy. If you're therapy minded, I'm not pushing therapy. I don't want to get into my philosophy about that. It's not my place to talk about that. It's up to you if that's something. But the reason I'm saying that is because this is already outside the spiritual. This is talking now about the psychological. And you have to go to the psychological to people that handle that kind of profession. So this is trauma. This is, it would have to be professionally diagnosed as PTSD. But this would be something where a person cannot shake that off and trust and be like nothing ever happened. So in other words, help is needed to get to that. And if not, the person's living a facade. They're living superficial. They're living where they, lay their head on the pillow at night and they're haunted by that, that darkness, and therefore, if something doesn't have a fresh start, starting at ground zero for both of you, then it's not a fresh start, yeah. So that's why I say no, okay? All right. Now let's go ahead and see something. Oh, sorry about that. Don't worry about the timer. I'm adding some extra time. Okay. Did this problem start at his job? Okay. I don't think she's there anymore. I think maybe that's why he left. Remember when it's making sense now. Okay, let me explain something. The beginning of what went wrong with him, you know, is that first he has this happiness and something very solid with you. Remember, you have to look at this not like yourself, but kind of like from him, you know, his perspective a little bit. And it's hard because you see things through your lens, you know. But he's very happy and he has something very solid. And then, you know, he's excited, but then there was something that in excitement that was sparked in him that he was abnormally drawn to, and he struggled against it very much. So if it wasn't her, it was going to be somebody else later. You understand? So liking the attention or liking the desire or the attraction or the liking it, you know, almost like an addictive feeling. So when the reading began, the first thing that came up was losing a job. Or job bad. I said in my Tarzan English, I said job bad. And I didn't, you said, not in the way you might think of what? Of ink? Oh, think, ink, ink, typo. In what? Oh my God, these trolls. I already reported her. Sorry about that. Oh my God, dear, seriously, let me delete these things. They're so... I'm going to remove that. Okay. Jeez, so rude. Of it starting at his job. Oh, okay. But, yeah, it could have been him at his job online. It doesn't matter. There's just this connection. If she isn't there, that means he's also maybe not looking. You know, maybe he would do this at his job. But that part doesn't matter. All I'm saying is there was this connection between job and what went wrong. And then I saw this female and I said, they're not close. That's why I always get a flavor of the reading with the dice. But I'm remembering back because now I have so much detail from the tarot, but with the dice, it was just an idea. So thinking back, you know, because I said, you know, it must be really early. There's another woman showing up, but I don't see that they've happened, but like maybe it's starting or it did, you know, and I see it was explaining what the dynamics of them and all of it. It's, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's still infidelity. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It's just a different kind. All right. So let's see. So there's something else that's happening. This again with the job topic. There's a great deal of issues that he's having in his life with his work because of all of this. is big. So yeah. All right. Let's see. So the reading is also letting you know that he is putting a tremendous amount. So you see, part of the reading shows that he's selfish. Part of the reading shows that he has acted in ways that are not all right. They're terrible. But the reading also shows parts where he is on his own accord willing and apologetic and regretful, and it shows that he does want forgiveness, and he is, without you knowing, trying to do everything right, kind of like repenting, kind of like trying to go within himself, like a lot of guilt, like horrible. So he is internalizing a great deal of it, genuinely. It's not fake. So there are good parts. There are bad parts. So the reading also, this is why I'm saying this gets a lot into the psychological, which is an arena that I don't touch on, but if it comes up in a reading, I'll address it. It talks a great deal about this scenario that has occurred to you, unfortunately has left a mark. Maybe not one you can see, but on the inside. It's very significant. Some people get over things, they heal. But sometimes people go through stuff and it changes them for life. And this left its mark. Some scars stay. And this is a scar that unfortunately will stay. Hey Brenda, you can book one in the shop, sweetheart. Thank you so much. So it's just, I'm sure you already know that, but just this is letting you know that, even if you decide later to start a new relationship, it's left its mark. It's a new worry that you have now that will linger. It doesn't mean it's gloom and doom and all this stuff. It means that it's a healing point. It's something that you have to look into very seriously, because it's not the kind of thing that just time goes by and it's fine. It needs to be addressed, for your own well-being, for your own wellness. Okay. Okay. So don't worry about this part, but there's something that, I mean, what I mean by don't worry about it is, okay, let me just say it. So something came up in the read that, and we're almost done. So something came up in the read explaining that Spirit is saying that there's something that the client is not admitting. And, I asked you not to say anything to me, so it's not that you're doing it on purpose. It's just that there's something that is coming up where I don't understand it because there's missing information on your behalf. And you don't have to tell me, but I'm just letting you know, I'm going to tell you this piece of the story. And it's not going to make sense the way I say it too much because it's missing information. So there's something that has affected his job or income or money or something that you've decided to do financially. There's something with money or work here that because of what's happened, you've done something drastic and it's affected him really badly. And I don't know what that is. Sometimes it's getting angry and not sharing a bank account anymore, or sharing some asset together and not paying it. Letting something get repoed from someone, here, I'm not paying your stuff, I don't care, it can be, you let his job know and they wrote him up, whatever, I'm just giving you examples. Okay, thank you. Am I reading that right? Yeah. Yes. Because I get share it when you need or want. Okay, no problem, sweetheart. Thank you. So the reading is saying you should try to make that right. Not that you're wrong in what you did and you were wronged, But the reading is saying that this is going to help your situation, whatever it was, ease up on whatever it was. It goes into like what he's going through, okay, because of it. It sounds like I'm on his side, and that's not what I mean. It just, remember, I'm reading it from his angle being primary. So because of what he's going through, this is an area. It's if you help him, it'll help you in return, because this can't stay in balance like this. All right. So, in a way, it makes me think, I don't think you're married. I don't know, but there's some control factor you have with money that he doesn't. There's something there with money again. But anyway, this is saying that there's something that there could be, like, when you do connect again, because you still love him and he obviously loves you. It's just that how do you undo what was done and the whole healing and the whole thing? It's delicate. I understand that. But at the root, he still wants to. It talks about when you do, if you want to, because it's your, free will. If you want to and you do continue, or golden word, rekindle, you have to watch it with the way that you handle him from now on. Because instead of being like, a little bit bossy, a little bit controlling, which sometimes Virgos are, they're very good wives, they're very good, running a household, they're very responsible, so there's that serious side. Sometimes they could be a little bit too motherly. It could sometimes be to their spouses or boyfriends or fiancés, kind of like a school principal with the yardstick going, Sometimes they can do that. But this talks about you being that even harder, which then brings it into the, he's the kid, you're the adult, and then he feels controlled, and, it can start a whole other thing too, So it's not healthy either. So the reading suggests that for now, trying to repair for a short time, this is difficult. This is my conclusion. This is my professional opinion, but it's your life and you do what makes you feel right. Okay. But this is the clarity you're asking me for. It seems to me that for a short time, a couple of months here to the end of the year, getting to a rekindled state where you start healing the right way and you make things a little bit easier with him, because there's still some pain and heaviness he feels, and he can't tell you what he's going through, maybe pride, maybe embarrassed, but there's a lot you're not knowing about him and his everyday and his struggles, and they're silent. And if you knew what it was, I think you wouldn't, it would change things a bit. There's a lot this man's going through. I mean, he caused it, but there's a lot what he's going through. My overall opinion is that it seems to me that the relationship long term will not work. And it goes far beyond the trauma. It seems like there can be other, I'm not saying he's going to repeat what he did again in the future, but you see, it came from somewhere. And that's at his root. And there's always the chance that there can be a resurfacing of this, but this time, instead of it happening in your 30s, it could happen in your 60s or your 50s or your 40s. And then there comes a time, anyone that is alive and feels alive and wonderful can start again. But there is an age frame. It's beautiful to grow old with someone who's solid. It's healthy. And you don't want to jeopardize that. Not the way that you are, because you especially, because the planner, the organizer, the one that has to know things, Mercury driven, very logical. So it seems like, yes, the rekindle is possible. He doesn't have plans on doing that with anyone. He doesn't want to do that. He's on the opposite. He wants to make it right and everything like that. But you're asking me because you're afraid to live through this again. What's the difference between a relationship therapist and a psychic, a real one? The relationship therapist is just going to draw from their university learning and their client experience on patterns of behavior, but they don't look into the future. Well, I'm seeing that this can be relived again. It's not his plan. He genuinely doesn't want that, but he has his own demons and his own things. So the clarity is that if you want peace of mind, I think healing in the right direction and closing the door, having closure is very healthy. Packing up and leaving and drastic and closing the door is not healthy. You had a real bond. There's feelings there. I think repairing, but with wisdom. Repairing, but knowing that it's kind of like a way to reorganize the ending is healthier. And then start to build yourself up fresh, because you have a long life, a lot of happiness to live, and you want to do it with somebody you can bank on. So I hope that helped. I'm sorry if there was negative things, I always love to deliver happy news, either way, It's free either way to give free or bad news. I like to give good news, but I also have to stick to the truth of what comes out. So I hope that gave you clarity, sweetheart. Is there anything else you needed me to ask, or did you want to share anything with me? This is the time if you'd like. Yeah, of course. Of course. I agree with you. Yeah. It is a deep thing. It's a deep journey. Yeah. It's a lot to take in. It is. It is. But I also know that in here and in here, you know. You know what you want versus you know what is good for you. And you don't need me to tell you that. You know that in your heart you want him because you love him. And it's healthy to admit those things. You got to own up to your feelings. But in your mind, you're not even for a second doubt. You know darn well that an option with a fresh new beginning is a better chance for you because this is a gamble with time that you can't buy on a shelf. Okay. You wanted nothing to do with him at first? Yeah. You know, it's funny. A couple of times people have gotten married and start a family within 2 months. Isn't that crazy? It's not as common, but yeah, sometimes it happens. This one's... Yeah, that happens with that. Yep. There's been a peak in that, unfortunately. Even with celebrities and stuff. A lot of people have gotten that. What state? Is it in the South or what state did he get that? Okay. Oh, wow. You would think more the southern states has that. But that place also has, that part of it, upstate at least, has a lot of horses and farm. You have a big heart. I think that's a lot of stress um, on you. I mean, it's not my place to say anything like that, but I think that it for you to be in a boat where you have to play that role with that's a lot. That's really heavy for you. You may not mind because you have a big heart, but that's a lot for you. You should just be enjoying, what are you going to do? Fall in love and immediately be responsible for a whole village of kids and also be a nurse? That's rough. That's heavy. Isn't that taking on too many problems? Right. I understand. And it is very sweet and beautiful and kind. Um, yeah, that you feel that way. But in your defense, your future self might look at you and say, no, don't take on, that's too much. You're too young to have all that on your back. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you have one life and you gotta live it for you. That's too much to put that on yourself, sweetheart. That's not your job to be responsible for all those kids and his disease and all that. It's too much. What do you mean? You're saying that because of your traumas, you ignored triggers. So in other words, there were flags that you didn't want to see. Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. So in all of this, remember, I saw that there's a very difficult side to all of this, and then there's also a very, I'm going to say something and you may be upset at me, and that's all right. As long as I know in here I told you the truth, because that's the type of person I am. I realize that you're telling me about the thing that happened to him and all that medically, but I'm sorry, he's very aware of those things. It's not confusion or anything like that. I know I understand that, but no, that was a complete, just saying. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, if you research, it would have to be that he is medically by a professional who specializes in that, not just a medical doctor that would examine that, but also a psychiatrist as well, because that would be more medical and it wouldn't be a psychologist, it would be a psychiatrist. If you had all of that, by board certified professionals, and they were saying that about the confusion, I would say, oh, okay, wait, that's different. But no, that doesn't happen that way. I realize it sounds really good for him, to lay it on thick, but no. No, he made his choices and he carried on, and he's present and he's not. That's why I'm saying, I think that for your closure and for your wellness, I think that, opening the door to deal with things in a healthier way, knowing that you're going to have closure. In other words, breaking away like this and leaving it empty, like leaving it in the unknown, is going to haunt you, hurt you, like be heavy on you. But if you go back in and deal with him and face it head on and, do things for yourself, that it give yourself like a 3-month timeline or something like that, where you're just going to be doing all the things to organize and close that door and let him know that, in a nice way you're walking away and you want things cordial and everything. That's healthy for you. And then put all your effort into your new future and rebuild yourself and try to work on the things that you're afraid of and the things that you've gone through that hurt you. Try to work on you and meet the right person so you could be happy. That's what that's the best direction for you. Not sticking around and wondering, and part of you still upset, the other part of you feels bad, the other part is just the soft spot of you, and then there's the guilt because you have a soft heart, and then you go back and forth. That's too much for you. Sometimes it's good to be decisive and realize, because if not, you're going to always wonder and you're always going to envision him, could it have been romantic? Could it have been better? you don't want to live in the what if, you know? Right, right. And when you are your own priority, and when you are very, like you're eating well, you're sleeping well, you feel aligned with yourself, you're enjoying your life, enjoying, your close people in your close circle, you will see that the right candidate, potential suitors, because you have a radiating attraction about you, they're going to come out of the woodwork naturally, and then you'll be ready. But you don't want to meet someone that just because they had a click, because it clicked romantically and all of this stuff, and it was wonderful. Yeah, but did it deliver? Did it give you the result of what you needed? Was he an anchor, and was he there? I don't know. So that's why I'm saying, but also leaving it like this makes you wonder a lot. And then, when you're single and you'll start thinking on a rainy day, what if? It's better to close things, address things, and then grow from it. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Well, I know that when I know this as a lifelong, love astrologer, love tarotist, I can tell you this. When women they have their groove back, and they are just shining in their riz and everything, their glow, that's when the potential suitors come out of the woodwork and notice them. When they're strong and attractive, that's when all this glow around you is shining, and that's when attraction comes in. So work on you, be happy, and try to end this phase of your life and close the door on it to start a fresh new chapter, because you don't want to drag this on into the new year. So good for you. I mean, you're strong, you've been through so much. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Kelly. I don't buy the whole thing with that he's blaming it on that. I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much. Thank you, sweetheart. Well, I appreciate. Is there anything else you needed me to answer? Anything else that you are confused about or worried about with the Ian, you said? Anything at all with the rekindled reading that you needed me to clarify or ask? Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much. Have a good one, sweetheart.